Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be, we didn't know what we didn't know. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. Pay it forward to somebody who can use the wisdom and the education. Jumping right in, there are many things on the planet that we don't know. Narcissistic abuse was something that we certainly did not know existed. Now we are getting the education, we're becoming awakened and aware. But this was a very long road that we had to travel. In other words, perhaps your mom or your dad was the narcissist and or is the narcissist. Perhaps it's your sibling. Maybe you married a narcissist. Maybe it's a family friend, acquaintance, business partner, whomever. Point is, people are becoming enlightened and they're becoming educated on the topic now. But back then, you didn't know what you didn't know. There's just so many things on the planet that need to be discovered, and narcissistic abuse is certainly one of them. It is now coming to the forefront more and more, and my hope is you're getting the wisdom on my channel and you're applying the tools that I provide for you, and you are understanding a few things. One, that the narcissistic relationship that you were a part of, it wasn't your fault. You most likely were manipulated, and you were taught and or groomed how to behave, and you probably were supplying the narcissist more things than you even knew. In other words, when your tears would come down, they would get narcissistic rush from that. That would be giving them supply. And when you were angry, same thing. In other words, the narcissist wanted to control your emotions, and they did that throughout the body of the relationship. That's what they like. That's what they need. They need to see you in pain, in misery, in discomfort. They don't want to see you thriving. They don't want to see you succeeding. Now, I mention that frequently on the channel. It's the truth. The narcissist cares about one person on the planet, and it certainly isn't you. It's themselves. When you were in this relationship, you did not know what you were up against. The narcissist did. Bear this in mind. As I share so often, the narcissist manipulates every relationship they enter. And they do wear a mask many times. Sometimes they're just outright in the open, and they bulldoze their way through life. And we know individuals like that. But these behaviors are not being tolerated these days. They're really not. People are now self-isolating. That is not when the narcissist isolates you. Self-isolating means they're removing themselves from toxic relationships. They are not being on the phone at 5 o'clock on a Friday night until 11 and listening to some other individual's issues, problems, concerns, or questions. In other words, you're not a sounding board any longer. You're now getting the wisdom. You're understanding that you are the priority. You come first, second, and third. And that you have been in narcissistic relationships in the past, not just the main one, which is why you're on the channel, and you're trying to heal from that relationship. That's what we are all doing. We're all on the healing path, headed in the same direction, simply just taking different footsteps. Maybe you're at the pinnacle of indifference right now, the mountaintop of indifference, and you've healed. God bless you if you're there. If you are there, you are one strong individual. Maybe you're a person who the relationship ended just a couple days ago, or a week ago, or a month ago, and you're understanding what the terms, the definitions, the glossary on the narcissistic abusive cycle, what these things mean. That is another part of the healing path. Another part is processing the fact that this was not your fault, as I mentioned earlier, because you didn't know what you didn't know. Remember, you were not taught Narcissism 101 in school. You had no way of figuring out that another individual did not have your best interest at heart. And actually, they were trying to puncture holes in the boat that you were rowing. In other words, they did not want that boat to float. They wanted that boat to capsize, and they wanted to capsize with you in it. That's when the narcissist would glom on to another boat that was prancing down the river. And that's what they do. They go from relationship to relationship, person to person, business to business, blowing up everything in their wake of destruction. That is how the narcissist slithers their way through life. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, because most likely you have been in a narcissistic relationship, or you're in one right now and you're looking to remove yourself. Either way, the point is, these relationships, you need to understand, you were manipulated. You were told A, B, and C. You were sold a bill of goods, and you were not told the truth. This person that perhaps you fell in love with, they told you that they wanted to start a family. They told you that they wanted to create a business. They told you that they wanted to grow old with you. All these things, and many more, I'm certain. And what did they do? Well, I'll tell you, once that wedding ring was slipped on the finger, they began to abuse you. Many times it's the day after the wedding. Many times it's the night of the wedding. But what did they do? They showed you rather quickly, now you are mine. You are a possession of mine. I own you, and I will begin to devalue you. But back then, you didn't know what you know now. that people like these exist. You were thinking that the person, as an example, that you married was a kind, loving individual just like you. Nothing could have been further from the truth. The person knew and saw in you what you could not see in yourself. In other words, your positivity, your energy, your aura, your beauty internally and externally, your empathy, your love, everything that you possessed. The narcissist wanted to capture that for a period of time, and they succeeded until they didn't. And this is a pivotal moment. Now, remember, as I share with you frequently, if the relationship ended as a discard or if you ended it yourself, either way, it was a challenging relationship to say the least. You had to put yourself back together. You had to dust yourself off and pick yourself up by the bootstraps, and you had to heal. Now, this took a lot of time. If you're on the healing path, drop comments below. You know what I'm sharing with you. This is not a magic pill or wave a magic wand and you're healed immediately or within a couple days or even weeks. It doesn't work that way. It takes time, a lot of time, but in your time, you will heal if you apply the tools that I'm providing for you on the channel. Now, understand, you didn't know what you didn't know because you weren't taught this. I keep repeating that because many times people say to themselves, specifically in one-on-one sessions that I have with them, and they'll say, well, wait, why didn't I see the signs? Was this my fault? Am I the narcissist? What could I have done any better? Why don't they love me? And they'll ask questions like that. And of course, I will pause and I'll think and I'll give them the response which is necessary, which is you didn't know what you were up against. You were in the trauma bond. Perhaps you're even in the trauma bond right now. And people are slowly beginning to understand the message that these relationships are not like healthy or stable relationships where two people are headed in the same direction. In a narcissistic relationship, you have two things. You have a giver and a taker. And you, if you're on the channel, you are certainly a giver, or you were. Perhaps even a people pleaser or a yes person, or you couldn't say no, the strongest word in the English language. And remember, when you say no to someone or something, you're saying yes to yourself. But the narcissist saw this in you. And they, because they're takers, they wanted to take and take and take. And when they were done, what did they want to do? That's right, they wanted to take more. They wanted to take your resources, your energy, your life, your soul, your spirit, your money, your relationships, your job, your health. They wanted all of this for themselves. And you may say, well, Andrew, you're being kind of rough. No, I'm not. I'm telling you the cold, hard facts. The facts of the matter is this is a spiritual battle, whether you believe it or not. It's an energetic battle, whether you know it or not. Think about the dreams you've had, the vivid dreams, including the narcissist and some strange occurrences, and they're almost too real to be true, right? Well, that was just like the narcissistic relationship. It in and of itself was too good, too real to be true, wasn't it? It was. That's why many times post-relationship, people are saying, they say to themselves, wow, was that a dream? Did that really happen? No, it wasn't a dream. It was a nightmare, and it did happen. And you were engulfed in that relationship for the length of it. You were being devalued each and every day. You were being future faked. You were being promised A, B, and C, although these things would never come to fruition. All of your resources were taking a hit, including your health. And your social circle was completely being blown up because the smear campaign was well underway. All of these things you did not know that you were up against when you were in the relationship, but you knew something was off. So again, as I'm sharing with you, take a weight off your shoulders. Understand that this wasn't your fault. You were told by an individual that they would be an authentic, genuine, kind, loving individual and be your friend or your lover or neighbor or coworker or business partner. But that's not what happened. What happened is you were manipulated into signing on the dotted line and to entering a relationship with this individual. And that individual wanted to take away everything they possibly could from you. As I mentioned yesterday, if you're trying to divorce the narcissist, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That does not go quickly, and it doesn't go without many hiccups and speed bumps along the way. It's the same thing if the narcissist is a mom or a dad or a sibling. You're now getting the wisdom, you're applying it, you're having boundaries, and you're saying no. And what is the narcissist doing? They're not having it. Maybe they're still emailing you or peppering you or trying to get you to open up the communication with them again. That's the last thing you should be doing. You should be going no contact, blocking the narcissist, removing them and all flying monkeys and people associated with them, and healing and beginning to invest in yourself. Save your energy for yourself. But we didn't know then what we know now. We didn't know what we didn't know. What that simply means in a nutshell is there are so many things on the planet that we don't know. We don't understand how deep the ocean is. We don't understand exactly how many life forms there are. We don't understand all the different kinds of potential people we're going to encounter. But now we're getting the wisdom. Now we're understanding, wait a minute, there are people out there that are toxic, that want to take from me. that want to destroy me, that are envious of me, that are jealous of me, that want to be me, and that I need to have boundaries. I need to understand that just because somebody says A, B, and C, it doesn't mean that that's what they're going to follow through with. In other words, their actions are not following with their words, and actions speak volumes. Anyone can say words. It's what you do that matters. So think about what I'm sharing with you. If you're speaking and or communicating with an individual who is portraying themselves to be one person, and there's somebody else behind closed doors, or they're bad talking or talking not good about people when those people aren't present, these are toxic individuals. And think about what they're saying about you when you're not around. Get my message. It's loud and clear. You need to insulate yourself, to protect yourself, to have boundaries, and to surround yourself with like-minded people, people that care about you, people that are in reciprocal relationships, that are equal relationships, and that will be there for you when the chips are down, or will support you. You don't need somebody to take advantage of you when you are vulnerable. In other words, let's say there was just a death in the family, or you just relocated a city, town, or country, or you just started a new job, or you just joined a community or organization, or you just got over an illness, or just were diagnosed with an illness, etc. When these major things happen in life, when the chips are down, that's usually when the narcissist will kick you when you're about as low as you possibly believe you can be. And then you go lower because they're piling on and they're abandoning you, perhaps even discarding you, maybe even during a pandemic, during one of the most challenging periods of all of our lives up till this point. But that's what the narcissist does. But keep in mind, you didn't know what you didn't know. None of us knew what we were entering. If we did, we would not have signed on the dotted line. We would have looked elsewhere to strike up these relationships. But now we're understanding that, yes, there are people out there that don't have our best interest at heart, and there are people out there that want to take from us. Those people no longer have access to us. Those people can do whatever they want to do as long as they stay away from you. That's the path. That's the point. That's the purpose. Understand that your value is through the roof. That's why the narcissist targeted you. That's why they saw in you what you could not see in yourself. That's why this narcissistic relationship you went through was something you could not avoid. Yes, maybe you would not have entered the relationship with that narcissist, but a narcissist on the globe would have found you eventually. Because if you made it this far in the video, you had to go through something, one of the most challenging and difficult experiences or relationships known to humankind, which is the narcissistic relationship, to get to where you are now. Now, this is for the veterans. It's for the people that have healed. Please understand, and if it's for the newbies, you may want to pause the video here because you may not understand this yet. But for the veterans, the people who have found themselves and are in the third version of themselves, the galvanized, strongest version of themselves, you would probably agree with me that going through the narcissistic relationship is not something you wanted to do, but you had to go through it. You couldn't go around it. Same thing with the healing path. You couldn't go around it. You had to go through it. And it took you time, a lot of time, but in your time you did heal. And looking back, now you see the world through a whole different set of eyes. So having said that, you're changed forever, but you're changed for the better. And whereas you are now a high vibrational individual, and that narcissistic relationship which tried to take you down and out for the count, it failed, as it always does, or usually does. You succeeded, and now you're changing your life, and you're changing the world, and you are understanding your value. In other words, that relationship that you were a part of, it changed you for the better. It did not take you down for the count. That's what I'm sharing with you. Now, the people that the relationship has ended recently, you will have a lot of work to go through. You'll have a lot of healing to process and unpack. Maybe right now that part of the message wasn't for you. I get it. The whole point is we all are on the healing path. Whether the relationship ended yesterday or 30 years ago, you can always use reminders. You can always use pro tips. You can always use suggestions in the community. That's what the purpose of the channel is for. It's to share information and wisdom and insight with others who perhaps don't quite get the message yet, or who perhaps believe that the narcissist can change, or they will change, or that the narcissist actually did love them or does love them. We know the answers to these questions now, but keep in mind, back then we didn't know what we didn't know. We do now. That's why we are healing. That's why we're growing in numbers. That's why we know our value. So guys, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning. No matter where you are on the planet, you are not alone. Remember that. You are not alone. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Before we leave, I'll just share this with you. Many times people believe that they could have done something more to lengthen the relationship with the narcissist. Yeah, that may be true. But if you would do that, you would still experience the abuse for a longer period of time. So Number one, there's nothing more you could have done. Number two, I'm sure you gave to a fault, and now you're understanding that. Number three, the narcissist gave you nothing but promises and words and rhetoric and abuse. And number four, if you get the message from this video, and be kind to yourself, be nice to yourself, and love yourself, and tell yourself that you love yourself. I do that each and every day on my walking meditations. Yes, I do. If you do that, then you put your energy back into yourself, and you will not be taking blame for a toxic narcissistic relationship. That relationship was not your fault. I can tell you right now it wasn't. You just did not know what you didn't know. Guys, no matter where you are on the planet, you are not alone. I love you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, bye, guys.